Hey, Dave the Amp Mechanic, come to you from my amp lab in Boston, Massachusetts. So if you saw my other video on how the S1 button interacts with the three-way pickup selector switch on an American Deluxe Telecaster, and that's what I have right in front of me here is an American Deluxe Telecaster with the control plate out. I've been working on a repair of it. You'll know that I also wanted to do the same sort of analysis that shows you how the S1 button interacts with the pickup selector switch on an American Deluxe Stratocaster. So this video is going to be very similar to the other video that I did about the American Deluxe Telecaster, only it's going to be one that traces the circuitry and the exact path that the audio signal takes depending on whether the S1 button is up or down and which position you have the 5-way super switch in an American Deluxe Stratocaster set. The American Deluxe Stratocaster is markedly more complicated because it's a 5-way switch than is the Telecaster with the 3-way switch. Essentially with the Telecaster and the 3-way switch you have 3 possibilities for that switch, and then you have 2 possibilities for the S1 button. It's either up or down, a total of 6 possibilities. However, with the American Deluxe Stratocaster, you have a 5-way switch. Again, it's called the super switch. And you have 2 possibilities for the S1 button, either up or down. A total of 10 possible configurations of the guitar. And it actually doesn't cover, theoretically, all the combinations that you could have of the 3 different pickups. Again, that's another thing that complicates it. You have 3 pickups in the Stratocaster versus 2 in a Telecaster. It doesn't cover all of the possible combinations that you could come up with. You could technically tear open the circuitry and reconfigure it and cover a couple ones that the existing factory installation doesn't cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redraw the circuitry of the Stratocaster for the rest of this presentation and show you that for each pickup selector switch position and each position of the S1 button exactly what the path of the audio is. And this will help you if you're diagnosing an electrical problem with an American Deluxe Stratocaster to place your digital multimeter leads in the right place in order to test for continuity. For example, if you want to have the S1 selector switch, the S1 button in the down position and the pickup selector switch in the middle position, it will show you exactly which way the audio is going so that you can test to make sure you have the right continuity through the circuit. And also you can test to make sure there is no continuity between other points of the circuit. So without further ado, let's dive right into the analysis of the American Deluxe Stratocaster circuitry. All right, before we get started, the first thing I want to do is just go over the functionality of the S1 button and the circuit board that's on the bottom of it facing the inside of the cavity underneath the control plate. Now, as you can see here, the different nodes that are showing on that circuit board that's on the bottom of the S1 button are numbered. And so for example, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And I took those numbers from the way that Fender numbers those nodes on the documentation for the American Deluxe Stratocaster. Interestingly, if you look at the documentation for the Telecaster, they don't number the nodes. I think the reason they do that is because if you look at the documentation, they have a sort of key that tells you where the leads that are attached to these nodes go to. It's a lot more difficult to follow the schematic for the Stratocaster than it is the Telecaster because you've got a 3-way switch on the Telecaster, and then on the Stratocaster you've got the 5-way super switch. So just to go over the way this works is if you have the button in the up position, then within the S1 button it's making these connections between these nodes. Just follow the blue line. When it's in the down position, it's the exact opposite. So now, unlike the teardown that I did of the Telecaster, where I took the schematic offered by Fender and then I traced the schematic for every possible configuration. That's just not going to be possible with the Stratocaster schematic. Again, too complicated. Some of the lines are too narrow in the diagram. So what I've done is I've completely recreated the entire circuit in this slide deck. And so everything that you see here in the slide deck is a physical connection that is in the circuit right now. Now these physical connections are not always in play because it depends on where you have the S1 button, either in the up or the down position, and also where you have the super switch. That's basically the pickup selector switch. Now just to kind of go over the super switch, here it is in the middle, and the super switch has within it what I call a backbone. That's like the hot backbone that carries the audio. And typically speaking, any time you're picking one of the positions on the 5-way super switch, you're basically routing audio to that backbone. And then from that backbone, here it is right here. It's this line going through the middle with these 2 0 nodes on it. And then from that backbone, it goes to the volume pot, which, if we go back to the super switch, to the S1 button here, the button is sort of like inside of the volume pot, and then these tabs down here are your typical pot tabs. And so if we come over here, you see this S1 button turned on its side, and this tab here is where the hot audio comes into the volume pot, and this button here, this tab here, is where it comes out, so that, like if you're attenuating the volume, it comes out either, at full blast or wherever you have the volume knob set. It comes out of here and goes, this bright green one here, and it goes to the output jack. So these are all of the different wires that are basically hardwired in there. A couple things to take note of. You've got this little capacitor here on the back of the S1 button, and the objective of that is to have some impact on the audio for certain configurations that route the audio through that capacitor. We'll get to that in a minute. Also here you can see we have, as opposed to the Telecaster, you have 2 tone knobs, and they're physically wired together, but they're not both used in every configuration. In some configurations, only the 1 tone knob is used, and it too has a capacitor here that allows you to kind of bleed some audio off to ground if the audio is coming that way. Here's a little red dotted line here, so audio essentially coming off of the 5-way super switch into there. You also may have audio. I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. It will come to the tone pot here. It'll come into the tone pot, go through the tone pot, come up this way, and then go through the any attenuation you have on the 1 pot, and then it'll come out this way and go here. Now there is a way to just use the 1 pot, the tone 1 pot here, just to bleed some audio off, and we'll see that in some configurations. Something to keep in mind is that when we start going through the configurations, it's really easy to figure out what's going on if you just kind of start with the ground. You try to look for where is ground on one side of a pickup, and then where does the audio go from there. So you'll see that when we start going through this. Okay, so the way the super switch works is you have 5 positions, and it actually has all these different nodes in there. It's got an extra set of nodes for each of the positions, and you can see here we're in position 1. I'll just go back to where I have nothing selected. You can't actually select nothing. You have to pick one of the 5 positions. And you see there's no connection between any of these nodes and the backbone going through the middle. But then when I pick if I pick this one here, you can see you're in position 1, which is the position closest to the neck, and you can see how it's making a connection between the number 1 node and the backbone, which basically takes the hot audio and brings it over here to the S1 pot. Now, the way we're going to do this is, and by the way, you know, you can switch here. So like, here's where it switches to 2. So now you're in the second position, the second position, that's like the second most closest to the neck. Then third position, that's the middle position. Typically on a Stratocaster, that would be the middle position would involve the middle pickup and you know, either the neck or the bridge pickup, depending on the guitar. Here's the fourth position, and then here's the fifth position. Now, one thing to notice, by the way, are a couple of these sort of jumpered areas that Fender put on the Super Switch. So, for example, there's a jumper between nodes 2 and 1 here on this side over here. That so that means that, you know, if audio is coming in on number 2, it bridges number 1 to get out to the tone pot. Look over here, you can see that 5, 4, 3, 2, and all 4 of those nodes are bridged together. Here, 2 and 4 bridged together. So there's a lot of that going on. These are jumpers, and also you've got this jumper on the back, as I mentioned earlier, on the back of the S1 button that goes from this little node over here to this one through that capacitor, and then you have these 2 black wires are hardwired jumpers going from these nodes, those nodes, you know, as indicated. Okay, so we're going to go back to this configuration with the S1 button in the up position, as indicated by these little blue lines here, and with the Super Switch in position 1, which is closest to the neck, as I said earlier. And what I'm going to do is, the first thing I do is just kind of take the, if you look here, what I'm doing is I've got these little red X's. See those little red X's there? Kind of cool, huh? Put them all in there. There are a whole bunch of them up here. And what that means is that like if you look, for example, at this line here, this yellow line, let's follow this yellow line real quickly. And you'll notice that this yellow line is in fact connected into the circuit up here on the back of the S1 button. However, if you follow it down this way, you'll notice that it's connected to node 3 on the Super Switch, and guess what? That's not connected to anything when the switch is over in the 1 position. So what I'm doing is, when I put these red X's in, it means that those particular connections, those parts of the circuit, they're out of circuit. They're simply out of circuit at whatever configuration we're using at that time. And they could be out of circuit because of where the Super Switch is, or out of circuit because of where the S1 button is. But either way, they're out of circuit. And so what I'm going to do is, for each setting, you're going to see these little X's, and then the next slide you're going to see is going to be what I do with that. If they're X'd out in this slide, then I can completely take them out in the next slide to simplify the explanation of what's happening at this particular configuration. So let's stay here, and you can see that in this configuration, again, the S1 button is in the up position, and the Super Switch is in position 1, closest to the neck. And you'll notice that with, you know, when we removed a whole bunch of connections, even the second tone pot is out of circuit. Okay, now what's happening here? Let's start with ground. As I said earlier, here's ground. We follow ground over to the S1 button. This connection is made between these 2 nodes on the back of the S1 button, goes this way to the neck pickup. So that makes sense because we're in the 1 position closest to the neck. Down to node 2 here, which is bridged to node 1, which takes us to the backbone. And then from the backbone, some of the audio can be impacted by this tone pot, so the audio comes in this way and goes through the middle tab of the tone pot over here to this tab through the attenuation of the tone pot, through this capacitor, and to ground. Okay, so to the extent that the first tone pot impacts the audio sound, this is what's happening there. And then if we come way over here, it also goes this way to the input side of the volume pot, and then it will go to this bright green tab, which leads you over to the output jack. So in position 1, with the S1 button up, it's simply just the neck pickup and the 1 tone button, tone pot in play. Let's go ahead and reset the whole circuit and we're going to go to, we're still in position 1, but now you can see that the S1 button is in the down position. We've changed the configuration here. So now let's see, let's get some red X's up to see what we can take out of circuit. So, you're free to go ahead and pause this if you want. And if you pause it, you can study this and check my math or however you want to do it. But these are the things that come out of circuit. And again, the reason I'm doing this is because this shows you what to test with your multimeter, right? Like, if you're looking to say, hey, is it working the way it's supposed to be working? This shows you exactly where to put the leads of your multimeter to test for continuity between two parts of the circuit. And also you can test for continuity in parts of the circuit where there should be none. And this helps you understand where you can do those tests. All right, so let's go here. We take all out those connections out, and let's just check it out. All right, well, let's start with ground again. As I said earlier, here's ground on this one side of the middle pickup, comes up through here, goes to this node on the S1 button, goes over, jumps over here, and goes this way to the neck pickup, goes to the node 2 on the super switch, and jumps over to 1 onto the backbone of the super switch, and same as before, just using this one tone pot over here, and same as before here, it comes out this way over to the input side of the volume pot, where you can attenuate that volume and put it out to the output jack. But key thing here is that here's ground, and if you follow the circuit, it goes this way. So what is S1 in the down position with super switch in the 1 position is basically putting your middle and neck pickup in series with one another. Okay? That's an easy path there. They're right in series. Great. So you're going to get some different sound out of that. Now let's go ahead and reset the circuit again. And here we are with the S1 button again in the up position, but you'll notice that the super switch is now set to position 2. Great. Let's go ahead and throw some X's up. Bingo. There are X's. I'll hold it there for a second, give you a chance to pause that. So if you want to check it out, figure out where to be testing for continuity, that there shouldn't be any. For example, you could test from node 3 to this middle node over here. There should be no continuity. There should be no audio on that circuit. Actually, you wouldn't test from there. You would test from the backbone to this location to prove that 3 is not making a connection to the backbone. All right. Let's now that we have these red X's up, let's go ahead and knock those connections out. All right. Interesting. Okay, we've got this ground over here on the middle pickup, but we also have this ground here connecting to the neck pickup. So right away, we know that these two are not in series with each other. They're sort of independent of one another. So let's figure out what is going on. All right, from the middle pickup, we'll follow it here, comes this way, goes to this node right here, then goes along this jumper here, over to here, down to here. Whoops, I don't want to do that. I just moved it. Okay, then comes over and follows this lead all the way around to node 4 in the super switch. Remember before I said, hey, wait a minute, we're on node 2, we're in the second position, but you know what? Look at this, there's a jumper from 4 to 2 on this side of the super switch. So it kind of goes this way, over to 2, now we're on to 2 and onto the backbone. So that's how audio from the middle pickup is getting onto the backbone of the super switch. All right. At the same time, you follow ground from here and you go across this way, and the neck pickup is connected directly to node 2, which goes onto the backbone of the super switch. So you basically have the middle pickup and the neck pickup in parallel with each other. They're both connected to ground, and they're both connected essentially to the backbone of the super switch. That puts them in parallel with each other, right? Great. We know they're in parallel with each other. Now let's come over here and check out what's going on with the tone switch. Okay, so here what you have is you've got both tone pots in play. You've got this connection over here coming from node 2, jumped over to 1, up this way. Tone 1 will impact the attenuation of of tone pot number 1 will impact the audio, and also the attenuation of tone pot 2 will impact the audio. And as you can see, the audio coming into tone pot 2 is sent back over to tone pot 1 and goes through the capacitor to this ground. So all audio going to the tone pots eventually goes through this capacitor to ground. Okay? All right, let's reset the circuit. Woohoo! Great. Circuit's reset. S1 button. Now in the down position, we're still at position 2 on the super switch, the pickup selector switch. Let's go ahead and throw some red X's up. All right, there are your red X's. I'll hold it for a second if you want to pause that and just check it out. Whoops. There we go. All right, now let's see. With all those X's up, what connections come out of circuit? Interesting. Okay. So we see that this ground up here is pretty much out of circuit, doesn't matter anymore. That means we know the neck and the middle are somehow connected to each other. So let's follow it from ground. All right, from ground, we go up through the middle pickup, come over here, and look at that. The audio coming out of the middle pickup is joined with the audio coming to the neck pick. So that puts this audio in series again. Follow that. One ground coming this way, all the way over here into the into node number 2 and to the backbone, and goes the same way we described before. Tone pots are the same way we described just in the last configuration, but there's something special going on here. Just the same way that they bleed off, some audio, or do some filtering on the audio with the tone pots. Look at this. Some of that audio that's coming this way out of the middle pickup before it gets to the net pickup, okay, goes this way across this jumper, down here, through this capacitor, up over here, down this way to node 4, jumps over here, and then gets onto the backbone. So now it's the same as before, middle and neck in series with each other, but now you have a slightly different configuration involving this capacitor, which is going to give you a slightly different tone. Pretty cool. All right. Let's go ahead and go to the next. Let's reset it. S1 button in the up position. And now we're in the middle position on the 5-way super switch, position 3. Okay, let's throw some red X's up. There you go. And I'll hold it there for a second if you want to be able to take a look, pause it. Now let's take those guys out of circuit. Okay. Getting interesting. Well, it's the middle position, so it stands to reason it might be the middle pickup, right? Here's ground going through the middle pickup, coming over this way to this node on the back of the S1 button, comes up over this jumper, across this way to that guy, goes up this way, across over here to node number 3, bingo, right onto the backbone of the super switch, over here to the input side of the volume pot. By the way, in this situation now, look at this, huh? You don't have a separate connection to the tone 1 pot. Now all the tone is going to be starting, all the tone changing or adjustment is happening first through the second tone pot, and then goes to the first tone pot and goes to the capacitor. So the first tone pot is out of this particular configuration altogether. It's strictly tone pot 2 working here. And you can see that because when the tone comes in on the backbone, it comes down to node 3, jumps over to 2, goes this way, and then you attenuate tone pot number 2, and then it comes straight to this tab here to get onto this capacitor and go to ground. So tone pot 1 is out of the equation in this configuration. All right, so that's the middle pickup, and this is the S1 button in the up position. Now let's reset the circuit, put the S1 button in the down position, leave the super switch in position 3. again, the middle position, let's add some red X's. There we are. I'll hold it there for a second so you can check it out. Pause the video, study it. All right, now let's go ahead and get rid of the parts that are out of circuit. It's looking pretty interesting here. So let's see. There's only one access to ground for any of the pickups here. Let's check it out. We'll start with ground. We'll go through the middle pickup. We come over here, go this way, and now look what happens. What's coming from the middle pickup, right? It basically joins up with the bridge and the neck, but it splits between the two, and then it comes onto the bus. So the middle pickup doesn't have its own connection to the bus. It comes through the bridge and the neck. So let's talk about what's happening here. Basically, what's happening here is you've got the middle pickup. The bridge and the neck pickup are in parallel with each other. Look at that. They're coming off. One side is coming off the same line, and then both connect into, eventually we'll probably connect into the backbone of the super switch. But let's start here. They're in parallel with each other, which means that if you take the middle pickup here, you're putting it in series with the parallel circuit that's between the bridge and the neck pickup. So you get this one parallel circuit, and then you got the middle pickup in series with that, right? Audio comes in to from the bridge pickup to position 5, goes over this jumper to position 4, goes through this jumper, again a hard wire to this node on the back of the S1 button, comes over this way, follows this orange line down to 3, and hits the backbone of the super switch. Wow, that's a really crazy circuitous route. You can see how complicated things start to get with the super switch and the S1 button interacting with each other. Now let's also follow what's going on with the neck. The neck pickup just goes directly to number 2. Again, that's not connected to the backbone, but if you follow this jumper over to 1, follow the green line up here, all the way over to here, the S1 button, then back over here, follow the yellow line, back to 3. There, now that's how that gets into the backbone. And then from there, of course, out to the input side of the volume pot, which takes you to the out of the output jack. Let's look what's happening over here on the tone side. Again, tone pot 1 is not in play. It's strictly tone pot 2 doing its job. The audio coming off the backbone, jumping down through here through position 3 over to node number 2, and then follows this line over here, goes through the tone pot where it can be attenuated by adjusting the knob, and then a direct line from this tab on the tone pot all the way up to this tab to the capacitor and to ground. Pretty tricky, those guys at Fender. Yeah. All right. Let's reset. S1 button now in the up position, and we have moved the pickup selector switch, getting closer to that bridge side of the equation. We're now in position 4. So let's go ahead and let's see where the red X's go. Oh, actually, no, I have them already here. I'm sorry. There's all your red X's. I'll hold it there for you to study it. Pause the video. All right, now let's take all of those parts that are pretty much not affecting things out of circuit. Okay, looks like we have 2 grounds in play. So we get this ground here coming up the middle, going up this way. It does this little guy, goes over these jumpers here, comes all the way around to number 4, and then finally hooks up with the backbone, the hot audio backbone of the super switch. And then you have the exact same thing going on for the bridge pickup. Here's the ground for that coming this way through this node over here, goes to number 5, and then that's jumped to number 4, and it jumps onto the backbone. So then again there, you can say each of these pickups has their own connection to ground and then their own connection to the backbone, which puts them in parallel with each other. So middle and bridge are in parallel. And look at this. Again, tone pot 1 out of the equation. It's only tone pot 2 in play at this time. Play by play here. Okay, now we've reset the S1 button in the down position. Super switch is still in position 4. Let's go ahead and throw some red X's up. There they are. I'll hold it for you. Feel free to pause it. I mean, feel free to, just pause it and do the math. See what I've done. All right, here we go. Let's take out everything that doesn't matter. All the irrelevant parts of the circuit. Okay, middle pickup is definitely in play still, so let's follow it from here. Goes this way. Okay, it's in series with bridge. Middle pickup in series with the bridge. Bridge does not have its own connection to ground. It gets its ground it shares its ground with the middle pickup through the middle pickup. So you're definitely looking at a series circuit here. Middle to bridge, bridge onto node number 5, jumps over to node number 4 over here and hits the backbone of the super switch and goes out to the volume pot. Great. And again, here we see that we are bleeding some of that audio off this direction and changing the tone a little bit by pushing it through this capacitor and again coming back and contributing that bit of audio to the circuit, to the backbone. Coming back over here, same as before, it's just tone pot 2 in play. All right, we're coming down to the end of the whole thing here. Let's go ahead and reset the circuit. S1 button in the up position. Look at where we have the pickup selector switch. It is the super switch is in position 5. That's the position closest to the bridge pickup. Great. Let's put some red X's up. I'll hold it there if you want to pause it. Good thing to look at if you can just hold this video on a computer screen while you're trying to test continuity with your multimeter between different nodes in the circuit. Okay, now let's take all of the irrelevant parts of the circuit out of the picture. Boy, I got pretty clean pretty quickly, huh? There you are. You've got ground going this way, so it comes into the bridge pickup, position 5, right onto the backbone of the super switch, and straight out here. So this is S1 button in the up position, pickup selector switch in position 5. It's just the bridge pickup using tone pot 2 over here. Tone pot 1 is pretty much out of the picture once you get into positions 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Let's reset the circuit one more time. This is the last configuration. S1 button in the down position, super switch in position 5. Okay. Let's throw up some red X's. I'll hold it there for you to study it for a second, pause it, whatever you want to do. All right, let's go ahead and take out all the irrelevant parts of the circuit and see what is going on at position 5 with the S1 button in the down position. Look at that. Middle pickup and bridge in series with each other. So here's ground coming up this way, across this way. Boom, right on to number 5, right onto the backbone and into the volume pot. What's the difference between this one and the other one? Well, the other one, remember, we took some audio and we put it through that capacitor on the back of the S1 button and brought it back into the backbone, the hot audio backbone of the super switch. In this case, none of that's going on. And of course, over here, you're just dealing with tone pot number 2. Tone pot 1's out of the picture. And that's it. That's all of it. So you basically, we have 5 positions of the switch, super switch, two positions of the S1 button up and down, multiply those two times each other, 5 times 2, you have 10 possibilities. Now, if you're, you know, if you're kind of the person that likes to experiment, you can mess around with this. You can work with this. You can change some of the connections and try to get different configurations. You take advantage of the capacitor on the back of the S1 button. Maybe change it. Put a different capacitor on there if you want. It's one of those little discs. You could do all kinds of crazy things here to reconfigure this to your liking. Come up with your own. I believe if you go on the web, you'll find some people who've hacked and come up with their own plans, their own circuits based on the S1 button and the super switch. So you could look at those and say, hey, that's something I want to try out. So there you go. Let's wrap this video up. Okay, well, there you have it. Hopefully now, without any mistake, you know exactly how the S1 button in an American Deluxe Stratocaster interacts with the 5-way pickup selector switch, the super switch, in a way that produces a whole bunch of different circuit configurations between the 3 pickups, the neck pickup, the bridge pickup, and of course the middle pickup on an American Deluxe Stratocaster. So just a reminder that there's that other video that I did that does the exact same thing for the Telecaster. In case you want to go take a look at that, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. And also I have another video that I'm working on. It may be up by the time you view this one, that shows how I had to what I had to do to repair a problem with my Telecaster, because it was having a hum issue that it shouldn't have. So it was clearly some sort of something that wasn't grounded, or a short, or something somewhere that was causing a problem. And that video will go into exactly what the problem was and how I solved it. So by now you should be an expert on the S1 button and the how it interacts with the switches, either on a Telecaster or a Stratocaster. If you have any questions, put them up. If you like the video and you like what I do, then click the like button. I'm not saying click the like button because I want more people to like it. That way I make more money or anything. If you look at the number of subscribers I have, the number of viewers I have, the frequency at which I post these videos, in my lifetime, I'm never going to make a penny off this. I really just do it so that when I learn something, I can pay it forward, and I hope others learn from it too. And when you click the like or subscribe button, what that does is it just it improves the likelihood that somebody else who's looking for a video on the subject matter is going to find it, because it sends a little bit of a signal to Google's algorithm. So go ahead and do that if you liked what I did, and hopefully I'll have more videos for you soon. Thanks very much. I'm Dave the Amp Mechanic, coming to you from my amp lab in Boston, Massachusetts. I'll see you next time.